Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, A View from Here. My name is Gene Matthews and I'm your host today. We're very privileged to have two of our city commissioners, Rue Berryman and Vanessa Carusone, who is newly elected this time, and of course Rue Berryman has just been re-elected. So we're going to start off with Commissioner Berryman, and good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Gene. Glad to be here with you.
Okay, fine. One thing we do, you've been around a long time, but you know, there's a lot of people, new people coming to town, and they don't know where you hail from, what you did before. Why don't you just give us a brief rundown on, on Rue Berryman?
All right, I hail from Virginia, the state born and raised in, and I went into service, spent a lot of time with that, and working with the government afterwards in the Air Force. Spent 40 years, as a matter of fact. I had tours in the Middle East, Far East, and Europe, and the last was in the Far East. In fact, it was Israel, and I built a home in Northport, came to live in it in '87, got interested in the city government, and started going to meetings, much as I could possibly make them. Became interested, got on some of the boards, and I've enjoyed just doing that and became interested in the political end of it and decided to run for commissioner. Yeah. And that's where I stand today, sir.
I know you've been 4 years on there already, been chairman twice, right, if I remember right.
Correct.
What made you run again?
I felt that I need to finish some things that I wanted to get done that I had interest in, such as the building of the new city hall, the police station, and a fire station, of course. And there's some other things I'm still interested in seeing that Northport does eventually come about and getting. And I just feel a part of that city since I've been in it as long as I've lived there and got an interest in it. Haven't had a business in it, and recently sold that last May after 14 years. It's just a part of being in the town that I love about it.
A little payback.
That's right.
Paying back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. When you look back at the first 4 years of Rue Berryman and being a city commissioner, mm-hmm. What do you consider as being some highlights of those 4 years?
Well, I think being, like you said, a chairman for the last 2 years has been a great honor to me, to having served that position that I did, and meeting the people that I have been privileged to meet and work with them, and it's just been a great delight to just be a part of that. It's been, I don't know, it's almost a letdown now, not having had that chance to continue in that capacity.
Well, maybe you can do it again.
Well, maybe, who knows.
Okay. When you during your last, again we go back to the 4 years, you were involved with the council and governments within the county. And right. What was that organization, and how did it function? How did it benefit the city of Northport?
Well, we met monthly as a usual way of doing. Some of we didn't quite make it due to confliction of dates and things of that sort, but we met with each municipality and the county board, of course, members of that, such as the county administrator and sometimes the county chairperson, and also the hospital board, the school board, and the airport authority board met with us. And it was just a great privilege to be with those people and listen to their concerns and problems that they have in their business. And we learned a lot of their things that they were having problems with. They felt they learned something from us, particularly in our way of growing right now. They're very interested in that. And it's just a stimulating the feeling to be with those people every meeting that we had together. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think when you look at the world today, you have to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have to share ideas and thoughts and even goals and objectives. If you don't, you just can't stand alone anymore today.
Not today in this great world.
You have to be open and fair with each other.
True.
2002 is concluded now.
Right.
And what were some of the highlights for Northport, and maybe even some of the low points for Northport during the year 2002?
I think one of our great delights in Northport was coming about of the new high school. Now the new middle school has been built. I think the Narramore softball fields for the two parks we have for the girls has been another great thing we've had come about in the city of Northport. I think we've seen some businesses that have been put into the city of Northport that's been great for our community. And it seems to be growing more and more as we speak today, and I think it's going to just be a nice-sized city in a few more years, particularly with the annexations that we've acquired over the last few months. It's been a little problem there, but we're sooner or later resolving those issues.
The middle school, of course, is under construction, and I don't know if you've driven by it recently.
I have, yes.
But it looks like it's going to be even larger than the high school.
I thought the same thing. I couldn't believe it's going to be as large. And it's really developing real well. And that's going to be open in August for the session that'll be taking in new school year.
It's
unbelievable.
It's totally unbelievable when you look back 5 years.
It is.
And that's a short time, relatively speaking. But you look back 10 or 15 years,
Right.
where the city has moved to is just unbelievable. Any negatives in 2002?
I don't really think there's too many negatives that we've had. We've had the one thing that created some problems and concerns and heartburn as well over the annexation of the Taylor Ranch, but I think we've now overcome that with talking with the county. We've got a local agreement with them. We're working it out, and things are working real well in that regard right now. I think it's going to be very nice once we acquire all that land up there.
Let's talk about, while we're on the subject of annexations, let's talk about it. There are several annexations. You had the Romano Springs itself, you had the property at Toledo Blade and I-75, and you had, of course, the Taylor Ranch. Where do you see the Taylor Ranch taking us within the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
With what I hear and understand that they're going to put in there for development with that office park complex with offices, professional style offices, and with the other land that we've got, I understand it's a big corporation wants to come in from St. Petersburg. They'll be built in there, along with the homes that'll be developed, and a mall, of course, I hear is coming. With all those things that are coming in there, it's going to bring growth to the city of Northport by virtue of jobs for the young families that live in Northport. They won't have to commute to say, Sarasota, Fort Myers, or Venice, or wherever they may have to go to get a job. It's a decent paying job. So I think it's going to be wonderful for our city. And we have no other place to build like that. We have 60,000 platted lots. There's nothing you can put a parcel together large enough to build anything like we're talking about. So it's going to really help us, Gene.
So the Taylor Ranch specifically has given us a greater flexibility in planning for the proper growth of the city in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Venice is growing toward us, so when time we get that, we'll be growing together there. It won't be long, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
the way it looks.
Yeah.
When you drive up and down 41 anyway.
That's kind of, I think it's necessary for the city to
Sure.
do this because it needs that tax base to grow
We
and
definitely
maintain
do.
the services that we have
definitely do.
have now today for the existing. But then by the same token, it kind of, you like to see the kind of the countrified aspect of the city also. But I guess you can't have your cake and eat it too.
That's correct. And what I liked so much about that, the Taylor brothers came to us. We didn't go to them. They wanted to be a part of our city. They saw how the future of our city was growing, and they want to become a part of it. And I think it's great.
Okay, Romano Springs.
Yes, sir.
If you could explain what was annexed there and what they're planning to do with it, if you indeed have any idea.
I spoke about a month ago with Ed Allman, the owner of the springs where the pond is right now, and the renovations he's planning. He's planning on putting some condominiums up there, some apartments above the shops he's going to have for artists, people that style that come and stay there during the various months of the year. He's going to have that a hotel built, I think I said that, but anyway, he's going to have a hotel, but it's going to be a lovely place. What he says he's going to, even a conference center he's going to put up down there. So with that and the prop, that's just about, I think it's 200 acres up there, but of the land up on Ortiz and 41, and talking to him on that the other day, he's going to put professional buildings along that stretch right in there, so it's going to create some more businesses in the area.
That's wonderful. That spring has been a boon for the community over the years, and it sounds like with the right development, with the right person, that it'll become even more of a boon, if you will, to the people, more services and better usage of the springs as it is today.
And that too is going to help draw people into the area of Northport that eventually may want to live in the city. And I look someday for Romano Springs totally to want to become a part of our city, the way it looks, and I think it's the first step in probably seeing that acquired.
Well, I think it's a logical step, especially when we start extending services into that city water, city sewer, police and fire and protection and such.
Right.
There's a great benefit to being part of the city.
Absolutely.
And what about out in Toledo Blade and I-75? Now that's kind of a sleeper. From my perspective anyway, it seems that not much is happening out there. There's not much being talked about, but these things always work behind the scenes, so you have to give us the behind-the-scene information on this one.
Well, I think with the Bobcat Trail Golf and Country Club, with that group of homes over there and condominiums, And now with the plantation being developed and the Raleigh Chase apartment complex down from that towards 75, and with the industrial park and all that's across from the Bobcat Trail and the plantation, all that area down there, with the growth that's seen there, and with our Chamber of Commerce, that complex in there, with the new Hess gas station just been built, and the Toledo Blade apartments that have now taken more growth after a fashion of about 2 years. We had a little delay in there due to some financial problem with the last builder, but these things are developing so fast, so quick, it's just becoming another city almost in itself.
Yeah.
And we are going to put, I understand, we talked about not long ago at one of our commission meetings, it's going to be called the Suncoast Plaza at Toledo Blade and Price. And I recently talked to one of the builders or owners of that land in there, and it's very much a likelihood of a hospital being put there very near future, possible if we work that out.
That would be too good to be true.
It certainly would. In fact, I was at a meeting last night.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, it's great. Wonderful.
Absolutely amazing. It's just...
We need it badly with the growth we have.
It's just all seems to be coming together and all at one time.
Perfect.
But, you know, of course, with that growth, you know, there's problems.
Absolutely.
Like roads. So, you know, what's going to happen to Sumter and Price, and I know there's stuff on the drawing board, so maybe you could...
Well, we do have a contractor, Kimberly Horn, that's developing the growth for that widening of the Sumter Boulevard, and it's going to be a wall along that area facing the Sable Trace and the Country Club Estate area down to Appomattox to Greenwood. And that area is going to be such that it'll be real attractive. However, there's money available that we have got to go get some way, somehow, through grants or whatever. FEMA, I think, should be a player in this because of it being an evacuation route for hurricanes. It needs to be widened. We have truck routes as well as regular car routes. And with the growth we've seen in Heron Creek, and you know how that's growing, the families dumping out on the Sumter, go up and down Sumter to Price to 75, it's just creating more traffic, so we need to widen it.
We have 1 minute to go.
All right.
And you need to tell us what your predictions for this year, maybe next year, or for the 4 years of your term.
All right, I'd like to see what I'd like to see and what I predict is going to happen. We already talked about it. We have a construction manager we hired, and we have a contract now for design of a new city hall and a police station. You'll see probably, hopefully, within this end of this year, probably breaking ground for that building out on Price and Sumter at our civic center out there. I think you're going, well, I know we're going to have a new elementary schools, G right now it's called, out on Cranberry. That's in the development stage. That should open up in August this year. So we're moving along with that. We want to get the Price Boulevard, something done with that because of the condition of that and the widening of that is very necessary. We discussed last night about some traffic lights along Price Boulevard at Southwood, Cranberry, and Chamberlain, those intersections. It's very dangerous. We've got some figures on what number of accidents been happening.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to it, and we're going to be holding your feet to the fire, make sure you get all those traffic lights and all those road builds. And with that, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaca. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome to part 2 of Northport, A View from Here. We now have our latest commissioner and newest commissioner, Vanessa Carusone, and welcome to the program today. Again, when we have someone new on the program, we like to hear their background, where they come from, where they've lived, maybe some education, number of children, and just some general facts about yourself.
Actually, I was born in New Jersey, but most of my life has been spent here. I graduated from Venice High School. I have 2 children, And how we came to Northport is that we bought a restaurant in the area, and we had such a great business there that we felt it was important to keep continuing to give to the community. And with that, I've become more involved with the community.
Yeah, it's amazing how involved you can get in a community of this nature, which has so many aspects growing on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just seems to be a never-ending supply of things to do. And one of the questions that every candidate or every commissioner is asked is, why in the world would you want to run for a city commissioner?
Well, with our median age of 41, I felt that it was important, and a lot of people had voiced their opinion as well, that somebody within our age bracket needed to really represent them, their needs and wants, and they didn't feel like that was being accomplished before, so I took on the job.
But you had to do some preparation, right?
A lot.
What'd you do for, to say that I'm qualified to run for city commissioner?
Well, I attended all the city commission meetings, even the ones that went outside of the city. I met with all the department heads, asked them how their department was run, kind of got inside of what was the projects going on at the time, what they saw for the future, and I really got involved with information. It was like I even contacted the commissioners at the time and said, you know, give me some information on this issue coming up, which is actually the hard part about being a commissioner now, because you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I really did a lot of research and a lot of work with trying to get my information.
Yeah, even to this program, you cannot be sitting here with another commissioner. You must be
Correct.
separate, and it's called the Sunshine Law, and we have to abide by that. You've been on the, excuse me, on the commission all of 3 months now. What's some of your observations, comments, the people you work with, the tasks that you have before you? What's your feeling and impression after 3 months?
Well, as you said before, the Sunshine Law is something that we have to deal with, so it's a little difficult for me who doesn't really like the rules and regulations, because I'm used to being able to go to the department head and saying, hey, explain this to me. I don't understand why we have to do this. So now you have to go to city management. City management says, okay, you can talk to them. That's been a little bit of a difficulty for me personally, but I'll live. As far as the staff, as far as the commission itself, I think we have a great commission. I think we have a great relationship, and I see good things for the future. I really do.
That's wonderful, and I hope they all come true, whatever it is. Do you have any special projects or in mind for the next year or two?
Well, I think the Sumter Boulevard is a very important project that we really need to pay close attention to. I understand that not only is it an evacuation route, but we also have to make sure that it's, how do you say, up to speed, because we want to bring commercial business into that end, and in order for us to do that, we need to make sure that City Hall's in place, that there's the proper infrastructure for them to come. They won't just come there until it's all done. So I think one thing, it has to be done in order to bring the other commercial in to that end of the corridor. I think also what me personally, what I would like to see done is I would like for us to pay more attention to our employees. I think our employee morale is suffering greatly. And as a business owner, I know that if you give your employees and treat them with respect, then what happens is that you get it back, tenfold. And I think that we really need to take a good look at what it is that we do for them, incentives, their pay structure. These things really need to be addressed.
And the other thing about Sumter also is that I know I've received compliments about how nice it looks as an entrance to the city. And is that theme going to be carried all the way down to 41?
From what I understand, it is, yes.
Okay, that's great. Now, one other road in Northport is shared with Charlotte County, and that's Hillsborough. And it's probably the most pockmarked road in existence in this part of Florida. I think it's getting very close to being done, isn't it?
February, I think we start. we've actually worked into an interlocal agreement with them to split the cost. They're going to do their side, we'll do our side, but that's a perfect example how it pays to work with other governments and try to work things out.
You know, there's another main artery, which is Price Boulevard, you know, which is an east-west road through the city of Northport. And besides I-75 and US 41, I guess that's the only other main east-west road. What's on tap for that?
Well, I know that we have some money budgeted to take some of the properties there. As far as whether it's a top priority right now, I think it is if we want to look into the future, but it's not something that we need to immediately, you know, get a hold of all those properties ASAP. I think we need to do it in a long-term basis, accumulate whatever is not built right now and then go from there, because it's going to have to be widened. Already with the two schools being on Price, we see a huge problem with traffic as it is, and I can only see it getting worse.
Yeah. With speaking about about schools, how do you feel about, as a parent and as a city commissioner, how do you feel about what you see going on with the school board as far as providing facilities for our kids?
Well, it's actually great to see that they're finally looking at us and saying, hey, you know what, they really do need these schools, because as a citizen, it felt like Northport wasn't always recognized, and I think we have a good relationship with the school board as well, and I think that it'll work out.
Yeah,
I think they're really going to take a look at us now.
I'm glad you're comfortable with that relationship. I think it can grow. Another part of the school board and the city operation is, was the money well spent that the city put into that Performing Arts Center?
That's a touchy one.
Is it really?
I would have to say, I think the city could actually gain more from that Performing Arts Center, and that's just my personal opinion, if we really went forth and tried to do some things with it. I think that we really need to get involved with that Performing Arts Center and try to get people to come to it. I think it's kind of just moving along right now, and now that we have a new Parks and Recs manager, maybe he can look at it in a different light and say, you know what, maybe we can put some shows in there and really build it up to a point where they're going to want to come to Northport for that specific reason, and that's what I'd like to see for it.
Yeah. I went to a performance Sunday, and it was standing room only, so that was great.
Wow, that's
that was
great.
So from my perspective, it seems to be working out, because I was very fearful that it would kind of languish, but I think it's doing all right. So what else do you see for the school board? Shared facilities, are there any other shared facilities we might do with the school board?
Well, I'm glad to see that the middle school that they're doing right now is large, and that hopefully they've taken into consideration the unbelievable growth that we've had in the past. They may have to start looking at that growth in long-term areas, because now with Taylor Ranch, they might actually have to look at putting another high school somewhere. The problem is that whenever there's planning, it's always been planning for the present, and we would hope that they take a look at planning for the future, because that's really what happened to us, is that I don't think there was proper planning for the future, and so when it came, we were not ready for it.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess even you can go into planning even for something as mundane as drainage, you know. It's,
absolutely.
And future planning is needed. I believe a lot of these job descriptions have been filled.
Yeah, most of our interim department heads have been filled, and that's great, because that was one of the things I think was holding the city back, and now I believe we only have one interim director, and so that's a good thing.
I know we've had some of the new ones, you know, on the program explaining, you know, what they see. But you know, they're at a disadvantage. You're at a disadvantage. You're all new to the block, if you will, or
Yeah.
new to the jobs, and it becomes very difficult.
But I have to tell you, the city management has been so good to me that any questions that I need answered, any difficulties I have, I can go to them, and within an instant, they help explain everything, and they have been really, truly made it very easy to get settled into the office.
Another thing that's important for the city is economic development. And I don't know if you can weave in what you feel economic development is, or what you'd like to see, along with the annexations and what what the implications to the city.
Well, economic development is imperative. Right now, I don't believe we have too much commercial. I think it was last 6%, and now with Taylor Ranch it bring us up to about 11%. So the possibility is great. It's just a matter of getting the right corporations and the right companies in here, and that's Bob Tunis. He's the guru on that. So
Economic development, yeah.
that would be his deal.
Okay, good. 4 years, you have 4 years, not quite 4 years. What do you want to see in 4 years?
I want to see us be able to get to a point where, right now I feel like we're kind of backpedaling. We've got a lot of things that have been neglected that we really need to go back on and say, okay, yeah, we talked about it, but now we have to do something about it. I'd like to see us get to a point by the end of 4 years that says, all right, now all we have to do is plan for the future and not fix the things that have been neglected. I'd like to see us get up to pace with our growth.
And I think that's a very valid point. We've been very busy, or not we, the city and the employees have been very, very busy keeping us above water. And finally, the addition of a lot of staff and the planning that you're speaking of, that Mark's doing and such, I think it's imperative for the city. We're coming down to, we go from, this is the dry season, and pretty soon we're into the fire season, then we're into the rainy season, then we're into the hurricane season. What do you see in the fire season coming down the road? Has the city been doing any implementation to kind of curtail what's happened in 2002 and 2001?
They just had a huge forum with the Division of Forestry that I attended, and they had talked about how the estates area is under a critical alert, that they're in a high hazard, fire hazard, and I know that the estates people are not going to want to hear it, but we are going to have to bring back controlled burns. It's the only way. And I think it's been long enough that maybe they won't have such a problem with it if it's done correctly. But I really believe that that's a necessity. At least my best friend's dad was in the Division of Forestry for years and years, so I know a little bit about that. But I think if it's done properly, there shouldn't be any problems. But we need it, or else we're going to be in a lot of problems come
when
season.
When that undergrowth grows, I was a volunteer fireman many years ago, 30 years ago, and we went to forestry school for this, and it is a necessary. So with that, I want to say a personal welcome to the City Commission of Northport. And with that, we're going to end our program today of Northport, A View from Here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Dean, publisher of Sarasota Magazine, and I encourage you to become a member of the Sarasota County Arts Council. The arts enrich our lives, and the Arts Council helps create an environment where the arts can flourish. As a member, you support a variety of programs and events, from Artists in the Schools to Arts Day. Want to be a part of it? Join now and you'll receive this ticket book worth over $1,500 in admissions to cultural events. Join today and you'll have done your part to help keep Sarasota's arts alive.